Hello hockey fans and welcome back to another episode of Whatever Happened To, the series where we take a where are they now look at players who found success in the National Hockey League but are no longer permanent fixtures in the league either due to controversy, poor play or just rotten luck. In today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at a 15-year veteran of the league and a 2017 All-Star, as we ask, whatever happened to Frans Nielsen? The 87th overall pick of the 2002 NHL draft by the New York Islanders, Frans Nielsen would spend the next 4 seasons of his career in the Swedish Elitserien, now known as the SHL, where he split his time between the Malmö Redhawks and Timrå IK and scored 58 points in 196 SEL games during this span. After spending the 05-06 season with Timrå, and after scoring 18 points in 50 games with the team, the Danish forward would make the move across the pond and officially join the Islanders organisation, as he signed a 2-year entry-level contract with New York on May 15, 2006. The 06-07 season would see Nielsen begin the year in the minors with New York's AHL affiliate the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. Though he had never played in North America at any prior point in his career, the 22-year-old forward would make a strong first impression for his new team, as he came 3 games shy of tying a Sound Tigers franchise record for registering a point in 9 consecutive contests. In fact, Nielsen's strong play in Bridgeport would soon help the forward earn the opportunity of a lifetime, as he was called up to New York's roster on January 5, 2007, in order to make his NHL debut the following day. Not only had he just secured his first taste of the best league in the world, Frans Nielsen's NHL debut made him the first Danish-born player to ever suit up in an NHL game. Now that's how you represent your country, folks? Though he would spend just 15 games with the Islanders during his call-up to the team, and despite scoring only 2 points during that span, Nielsen would conclude the season in the AHL and produce some impressive numbers in the minors instead, as he finished the year 5th in scoring on Bridgeport's roster, thanks to potting 20 goals and 44 points in 54 regular season games. The following 07-08 season would see Nielsen begin the year in Bridgeport once again, as the forward looked to secure a roster spot in the NHL during the final year of his contract. Though his numbers would take a notable step back compared to his rookie season prior, the forward's strong two-way game and his impressive play on the defensive side of the puck would earn him another call-up to the Islanders midway through the year. Though he would spend 16 games with New York this time around and score 3 points for his efforts, the former third-round draft pick would conclude the year in the minors once more, where he finished 4th in scoring on Bridgeport's roster with 10 goals and 38 points in 48 games, despite playing a fraction of the games than those higher than him on the list. Once his entry-level deal had expired, and having shown promise during his pair of trips to the show, both Nielsen and the Islanders were eager to keep the forward around for many years to come. This mutual desire to extend his tenure with the organisation culminated in Nielsen signing a 4-year, $2.1 million contract with the Islanders, worth an average annual value of $525,000 a season, on July 19, 2008. Though he would only earn $10,000 more each season compared to his recent rookie deal, thanks to his play over the coming years, this contract would soon become one of the biggest bargains across the entire NHL. The 08-09 season would see Nielsen attend New York's preseason training camp for the 3rd straight year and look to finally earn a full-time roster spot in the NHL. Thankfully, the 24-year-old would get his wish, as Nielsen would make the cut and suit up on the Islanders' opening night roster for the upcoming season. From there, the Danish forward would spend the entire year on Long Island and make himself at home right away, as his strong 200-foot play and his improved offensive production helped him finish the year with 9 goals and 33 points in 59 regular season games. Sure, he wasn't winning the Calder Trophy anytime soon, but these were pretty respectable numbers for a guy known more for his two-way game than his scoring numbers. The following 3 seasons of Nielsen's career would see the forward take his game to the next level and secure his place as a top 6 forward in the best league in the world. spending much of this tenure as the Islanders' second-line centre and being called, quote, the best all-round player on the team by Islanders captain Doug Weight, the former third-round pick would cement his reputation as a legitimate member of the Islanders roster. With 38 points in 76 games during the 09-10 NHL season, 44 points in 71 games during the 10-11 season, and with 47 points in 82 games during the 11-12 season, Nielsen had found a way to bring his offensive production up to speed with the rest of his game, as he also posted a positive plus-minus and registered single-digit penalty minutes in 2 of these 3 years too. Remember, he did all of this while earning $500,000 a season. However, Nielsen hadn't managed to convert his recent success into his first trip to the Stanley Cup playoffs, as the Islanders had failed to clinch a postseason berth in each of Nielsen's 4 seasons as a full-time member of the roster. Despite being unable to punch his first ticket to the playoffs, Nielsen's recent blossoming from fringe NHLer to legitimate top 6 forward, while being signed to one of the most cost-effective contracts in the league, meant that he was due a pretty sizable raise with his next deal. Midway through the 11-12 NHL season, on February 6, 2012, the Islanders would give him exactly that, as they signed Nielsen to a 4-year, $11 million contract extension worth an average annual value of $2.75 million a season. Having finally been rewarded for his strong play after years of underpayment, and with him set to earn a decent chunk of change for nearly half a decade, things were looking pretty good for the 28-year-old as he entered the prime years of his career. But first, there was a lockout! During the 2012 lockout, Nielsen would take his talents back across the pond to Europe and ply his trade elsewhere on the continent, as he signed with Finnish Liiga side LOCKOUT. After playing 27 games with the team, and after scoring an impressive 24 points during that span, the lockout would finally come to an end, and Nielsen would head back to North America in order to rejoin the Islanders roster. Having returned to Long Island for the rest of the year, the next 4 seasons of Nielsen's career would see the forward take his game to even greater heights over the course of his shiny new extension. After putting up 29 points in 48 games during the lockout-shortened year, the former third-round pick would produce his best performance ever during the following season of play. Wearing an A on his jersey for the first time as a new alternate captain on the roster, Nielsen's 25 goals, 33 assists, and 58 points in 80 games during the 13-14 season would set new career highs in each of these categories that would last the rest of his NHL career. Given that the guy was earning less than $3 million at the time, Nielsen really was underpaid for the bulk of his career. After taking a notable step back in his production during the 3rd year of his extension, since he potted 43 points in 78 games during the 14-15 NHL season, the Danish forward would reach the 20-goal and 50-point plateau for the second and final time of his career during the following 15-16 season, as he finished the year with 20 goals and 52 points in 81 regular season games. Oh, and it's also worth mentioning that while Nielsen recorded a positive plus-minus in just 2 of these 4 seasons, he never registered more than 12 penalty minutes during this span. So yeah, the guy had become a pretty effective player in the best league in the world. Not only would he produce the best numbers of his entire NHL career over the course of this deal, Nielsen would also get his first taste of the Stanley Cup playoffs during this span. In fact, the Islanders would secure their place in the postseason in 3 of these 4 years, where Nielsen potted 10 points in 24 games, but New York were unable to make it past the second round in each of these runs. Once his 4-year extension had expired, and having firmly established himself as one of the top second-line centres across the entire league, the 32-year-old forward decided to forego signing an extension with the Islanders and enter free agency instead. Having become a UFA for the first time in his career, and with him eager to cash in on what would likely be his only chance to test the open market, the forward wouldn't have to wait very long to get his wish, as on July 1st, 2016, he signed a 6-year, $31.5 million contract worth an average annual value of $5.25 million a season with the Detroit Red Wings. So after being drafted by the Islanders 14 years prior, and having spent the first decade of his NHL career with the team, Nielsen had left the only organisation he had ever known in order to sign the biggest and most expensive contract of his career in Hockeytown. Though he would finally earn a salary that some felt he had deserved for quite some time now, due to his performance in the years that followed, Nielsen's new contract wouldn't reach its intended conclusion. The following 3 years of Nielsen's career would see the forward make the move to Michigan, don the Red Wings jersey for the very first time, and continue to produce respectable, yet somewhat reduced scoring numbers for his new side. Though he would earn his first and only trip to the NHL All-Star Game during his debut year with the team, and finish the 16-17 season with 41 points in 79 regular season games, the Danish forward would see his production take a notable step back as the Red Wings transitioned from consistent playoff contenders to a full-on rebuild, as he scored just 33 points in 79 games during the following 17-18 season, before bouncing back slightly with 35 points in 72 games during the 18-19 season. So not only had he shown notable regression in his game since moving to Detroit, and produced his lowest scoring numbers since entering the league full-time back in 2008, Nielsen had also recorded a positive plus-minus just once in that span, and registered more penalty minutes every year than in each of his final 5 seasons with the Islanders. Not exactly the numbers you want for a guy being paid over $5 million a season, but given that his two-way play had still provided decent value to the team, and given that his playoff caliber supporting cast had been shipped off in lieu of younger prospects, some could argue that he was doing the best he could given the circumstances. However, if you thought Nielsen's performance during the first half of his contract had been disappointing enough, the following 2 seasons of his career would see things go from bad to much, much worse. Entering the 4th year of his contract during the 2019-20 season, the 35-year-old's scoring numbers would practically jump off a cliff, as he scored just 4 goals and 9 points in 60 regular season games, before the season was cut short prematurely due to the pandemic. 9 points in 60 regular season games. A far cry from his 40 to 50 point production less than half a decade prior, folks? Unfortunately for both Nielsen and the Red Wings, the following year wouldn't go that much better either. During the recent 2021 season, Nielsen's continued offensive struggles and his difficulty playing consistently strong hockey meant that he would spend much of the year bouncing in and out of the lineup as a healthy scratch, and finish the season with just a single goal and 6 points in 29 games, the lowest single season production of his entire NHL career. As you might expect, these abysmal numbers, coupled with the Red Wings continuing through their rebuild, meant that Detroit wouldn't return to the playoffs in either of those years, meaning that Nielsen hadn't played a single playoff game in his 5 seasons as a member of the Red Wings. Despite his performance over the last few seasons being a shell of its former self, Nielsen had one final year on his contract with Detroit to bounce back and regain his reputation as a legitimate roster player in the NHL. However, the forward's time in the Motor City would come to a premature end. Having scored just 15 points in 89 games over his last 2 seasons of play, on August 19, 2021, it was announced that Detroit had bought out the final year of Nielsen's contract with the team, thus immediately making him a free agent. So after spending the last half a decade in Hockeytown, and having watched his career regress from productive second-line centre to frequent healthy scratch, Nielsen entered unrestricted free agency under much more disappointing circumstances than his first time around. Though he would spend the next few weeks trying to find another landing spot in the league, no NHL team expressed serious interest in signing him, or even offered him the chance to prove himself on a PTO. After months of searching for a new home, and with the 21-22 season well underway, Nielsen realised that his NHL career may have reached its end, and it was time to search elsewhere in the hockey world. With him showing no desire to hang up his skates anytime soon, the 37-year-old forward decided to return back across the pond and take his talents to Germany, as on October 10, 2021, Nielsen signed a 1-year contract with Eisbären Berlin of the DEL. So after spending the last decade and a half of his career in the best league in the world, Nielsen was returning to Europe for his first full season since 2006 and embarking on a new adventure in a new league during the twilight years of his career. To this day, Frans Nielsen is still a member of Eisbären Berlin's roster. Though he last played hockey on the continent during the 2012 lockout nearly a decade ago, the Danish forward has made a pretty good first impression with his new team. With a single goal and 3 points in his first 8 DEL games at the time of this recording, the former third-round draft pick may not be leading his team in scoring anytime soon, but he has helped Berlin secure a pretty respectable position in the league standings, as they currently sit 4th place roughly halfway through the year. Given that he only joined the DEL a few weeks ago now, and given that he is on pace to register his most productive season in the last 3 years, here's hoping that Nielsen can keep up this bounce-back play for the rest of the year and produce a strong debut season in Germany. And who knows, maybe his rebound year will help him secure another contract in the DEL next season, help him move to another team in another league in Europe higher up the chain, or even earn himself another contract in the NHL. Crazier things have happened, right guys? But regardless of how this season plays out, there is no denying that Frans Nielsen produced one hell of an NHL career. In 925 regular season games, Nielsen scored 167 goals and 306 assists for 473 points, as well as 10 points in 24 playoff games. Add to that his 2017 All-Star selection, his decade and a half in the best league in the world, and his roughly $43 million of career earnings, and he certainly could have done a lot worse for himself. Not bad for the 87th overall pick in his draft class, folks? And there you go. That's what happened to Frans Nielsen. What do you guys think about Nielsen's NHL career? Was it good, bad, or do you think he should still be playing in the league today? Let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further, and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.